there was a hit piece on The Guardian about me this week, which completely misrepresented the truth.
It was great, though. That was great.
Do you think it's great?
Yeah. Well,
Why is it great?
Well, when it's sort of a mate of yours, it's funny to sort of wind you up about it. But obviously, it's not really great. I'm joking.
It's funny because the whole it's about this short course, an independent study course that I'm giving at the New College of Florida on wokeness, on the woke movement. And I did a course for them last year on Shakespeare. This is a course that would be based on my book, The New Puritans. It's something I know quite a lot about, and it's an interesting topic for discussion, particularly in academic circles within institutions that have been so captured by the movement. But this Guardian article, I mean, he called me a conservative culture warrior, controversial. I don't think defending liberal values is controversial. Apparently, the Guardian does. The whole premise of the article was that the course had been reinstated. It was never uninstated. It was always there. It was always going to happen. So the whole premise of the article was false. And then it also talked about how I used to write for Spiked, which it called hard right. Spiked was living Marxism. It's a predominantly left-leaning publication. Hard right. It's got a liberal immigration policy. It continually criticized racists and the alt-right. It continually has a go at Trump. The idea of it's factually wrong to call it hard right, and a quick Google would sort of disabuse you of that notion. But the Guardian can't even bother to do that. But my favorite thing about this article was that it actually, because I'm talking about the woke movement, this guy who wrote this piece actually went out of his way to search for registered non-profit organizations that had the word woke in their title to check whether there was such a thing as the woke movement. So he actually believes that in order to subscribe to an ideology, it has to be registered with the government and has to have applied for tax exemptions.
Oh my God.
Now that is, I'm sorry, that is amoeba level stupidity. Like that's a level of literal mindedness I cannot comprehend. But that is when journalism is subordinated to propaganda. I don't deny that the guy who wrote this Guardian piece probably thinks he means well and doesn't realize what a fool he's making of himself to anyone with half a brain. It's kind of astonishing when that happens to you, but it just reminds me because I've caught the Guardian in lies so many times. There was that famous We Spa thing where that guy was in that Korean spa in Los Angeles and he had his semi-erect penis out in front of women, and a woman complained. A black woman, the video went viral. She went up to the desk. She was saying, "Why is there a man in the naked man where there are young children, where there are girls?" And the Guardian continually, over a course of 3 articles, I think, suggested that all of this was a hoax, that it wasn't real, that it had been imagined. And when there were protests outside the thing and some far-right activists turned up to opportunistically exploit the situation, the Guardian conflated the feminists who were concerned about flashers in their spa with the far right. And they did this again and again, completely dishonest, even when it was determined that the guy who was actually flashing had a previous record for indecent exposure. Even when that came out, the Guardian still doubled down and conflated the feminists with the far right. So then they're not honest brokers. Either it's dishonesty or ideology can make people believe in the lie. It's probably a bit of both, isn't it?
Hanlon's razor.
It's terrible. I remember as well when the Guardian came to review a comedy show we did. It was pre-Comedy Unleashed. The night I've got in London.
Yes.
It was before that, and we'd set up. We did a night for the election night, and we wanted to represent different people's views. Now, at the time, I was a supporter of Labour, quite diehard supporter of Jeremy Corbyn, as it happens, and so I did a set, 20 minutes, largely openly, consistently going on about why we should vote Labour. Of course, the reviewer from The Guardian wanted to pretend that the whole night was sort of the equivalent of the Daily Mail on stage, and said that, reviewed all the acts, and just pretended I didn't perform, and just took out any reference to me. I did a 20-minute set. And so he was able to say in the review, it was all right-wingers, everyone was supporting the Conservatives. And the only way he could do that was to just omit a significant aspect. I'm not bigging myself up by that, but I did 20 minutes. It's not like a 2-minute comment. And that, of course, is an open lie. So yeah, sure, let The Guardian run off to blue sky. I think The Guardian is utterly discredited. Most of the people I know who used to read it think it's funny now. So I don't think it's a serious publication. It's not journalism in a serious sense of the word.
Is there an extent to which all newspapers have this level of disinformation? Is any newspaper going to have 1% or 10%? Does the Daily Mail as well? Telegraph maybe?
It would never occur to me to misrepresent something in an article, to lie about something in an article, to omit something that is significant. I understand that omissions and mistakes happen. Everyone does it inadvertently. The idea of doing it, I mean, in those examples I've given are so deliberate, are so clearly, demonstrably deliberate. That would never cross my mind to do that. And if I did do it and I was picked up on it, I would apologize and check and correct. So the fact that the Guardian don't, I don't agree that every media outlet, I think, okay, let's put it this way. I think you're right that every media outlet has a percentage of this because we're dealing with human beings, and there'll be some human beings who are apt to dissemble, and there are some human beings who are mendacious, and the right does it as well, right? Mm-hmm. So the choice of articles in right-wing tabloids, the stories they choose to cover and the stories they don't choose to cover, those are probably ideologically based decisions. But I don't understand why people go on about GB News all the time and say that we're guilty of this. I don't think there is even an ideological slant at GB News. There are more right-leaning presenters than left-leaning presenters, but at no point does the management come in and say, you must report on this or you can't report on that. I've had 3.5 years there reporting on whatever the hell I want with no editorial input whatsoever from above. How many other media outlets or presenters can say that? I just don't think it's a thing. I don't think it's an excuse to say, well, everyone's at it, so it's okay if the Guardian do it. I think the Guardian are particularly egregious. I do sound like I'm in a foul mood.
You're in a foul mood. I love it, though.
No, this isn't good.
No.
It's pathetic.
No,
what's going on?
It's great. You've got to be in different moods. This is what it is. This is life.
But I'm normally such a happy
I know, but
person.
I brought you into this sort of dark
this
dungeon.
subterranean Fritzl basement.